Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program. It's been a little bit since we've played this one, but I've been really looking forward to this. This is on version 1.9.1, the current version, and this is the version we're going to stay on. I learned my lesson last time. Now, as you may have already seen from the thumbnail, which I don't know what it looks like yet, but you do, and the video title, which I think I do know what it is, you may have already deduced what we're doing, but this is going to be a solar gateway project. We are going to be building a big, all-encompassing shipyard around the sun in vanilla Kerbal Space Program. Vanilla-ish. We are using X Science, as I usually do, but nothing else. Now that said, you can't spawn parts out of nothing in this game. So we're going to have to fly all the parts there and assemble them at that station. And also, yeah, this is looking real nice. I like the changes that they've made to the Kerbal shader. Now, I did also find in the settings a little bit of a boost to ambient light, and I bumped that up. It's actually at 27. I meant to put it at 25%, but I don't seem to be able to get there from here. Let me try adjusting my DPI. No, it goes 24, 26. Okay, we'll leave it at 27%. Now, I did that because the YouTube algorithm that they use for compression tends to really crush blacks really hard. So I'm trying to just elevate the brightness a little bit so that when it's dark, you guys can still see. I can see just fine, but the YouTube video compression tends to have difficulties with that. So that's the idea. We're going to go ahead and start game. This is going to be a new game. And this is going to be called the Solar Gateway, and this is a career mode game. And we are going to start. Excellent. Now it's going to be a little bit before we have the tech to do this. And it's going to be an interesting thing to do as well. And this seems maybe a little on the bright side. You can let me know if the brightness is too much. I'm most interested in knowing if the brightness is too much when it's dark, but finding a good balance for when it's bright like this would also be a good thing. Although, I guess there are shadows. Okay, I'm used to this looking considerably more populated, so that's something. Now, I don't have any science right now, so we're just going to have to hop into the VAB, because this is completely fresh. Hi, Werner. Yeah, I know how this works. Fantastic. So we're going to put in a Mark 1 command pod, and we're going to put in a flea, and we're going to put on... Boy, we have nothing. Not used to that. We're going to put on a mystery goo containment unit, and a Mark 16 parachute. Not even going to bother saving this. We will put these in 2 different stages. There we go. And we're not going to launch this. Not yet. First things first, we need to gather the data at the pad. So we'll go ahead and do that. Observe Mystery Goo. Jebediah, you are looking very bright on my screen, but we'll see how you end up looking after the YouTube compression has its way with you. We will keep that experiment, and we will recover the vessel. But please let me know if the brightness is too high, and I can adjust that at any time. So, we're going to go ahead and do that. Let's check mission control. Yeah, we need to launch our first vessel and escape the atmosphere. We'll go ahead and do that. Not immediately, though. Now, we did collect our first experiment at home, so that's perfect. Okay, so we are now, I think, ready to fly. So we're going to relaunch this. And also, there are performance improvements in 1.9, which is nice, but more importantly, I'm on my new CPU, so performance is pretty slick. So for right now, we are just going to launch Jeb straight up with a solid rocket motor. Off you go, Jeb. Gonna try to steer it a little bit. See if we can maybe get a little bit of horizontal velocity. That would be nice. We have managed to get some. Let's see. We are not quite at our peak altitude just yet. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, 10 kilometers up. That's nice. That's our peak. Okay. We are going over the ocean, which is good. That is a very good thing. I'm actually going to deploy the parachute right now, so that we don't start falling too quickly. And the parachute should keep us sufficiently slowed that the parachute doesn't break. This way, we don't end up losing Jeb. Excellent. Now, we do have X Science here. And I do want to show the Here and Now window, which I can never remember how to show that. I think we right-click this. Now that is currently set to mute the music. I want it to be unmuted. No idea if it's muted or not, but we're going to open the Here and Now window. There we go. Oh, I guess this is this new in this version? This is a new version of X Science. Oh, and you can set the minimum science right here. I like that. That is definitely new. Yeah, that's nice. And then you can just show it with that button. That is really nice. Okay. Well, I'm going... Oop, I did not mean to minimize the game. I'm going to go ahead and physics warp a little bit towards the ground. Don't want to be physics warping when we actually hit. There we go. Jeb had a few G-forces there, but he'll be fine. I'm sure of it. And now we'll physics warp this drop, because we are still a ways away. So we'll go ahead and do that. We're going at 6 to 7 meters per second. This could be a little bit. Okay. There we go. Fantastic. And we can crew report from here. Technically, we could even EVA report. And so we shall. I like how it's now telling us how much science that's worth in the Here and Now window. These are good changes to the Here and Now window. Well, we'll go ahead and recover that. So that's our first flight. And that gives us some amount of science. We have a total of 31.2 science. That's very nice. Excellent. Now, we can get ourselves another contract. And I think test the hammer at the launch site. That's just free money. We will absolutely do that next. So, we need to put a hammer on there, which is this guy. We're going to have no fuel in there. And then we're just going to launch this. This is a very temporary craft, after all. Okay, we're going to crew report here because I forgot to do that previously. We can actually still get a little bit from the mystery goo here. Perfect. And we will go ahead and EVA. And we'll keep that. And now we will run the test. Contract complete. Got a little bit of money, science, and prestige. And we will recover that vessel. Perfect. Okay, so what is next? Well, we need to get ourselves out of the atmosphere in a suborbital trajectory. That's going to be a pretty top priority. We'll grab the orbit Kerbal next. And we'll grab, I think, basic rocketry. There we go. And we'll also grab Engineering 101. That gives us access to the thermometer, which is pretty important. Survivability would give us access to the barometer and the service bay, as well as heat shields. Yeah, we're definitely going to grab that. I don't think there's anything else we can afford right now, so we will not. Excellent. Okay, so now we need to make our first real rocket. And that's going to be with a Mark I command pod, because I tend to prefer that. Now, drogue chutes have been heavily nerfed, right? Unless they've reverted that. I haven't played KSP hardly at all since the last series, So we'll see if they have reverted that nerf or altered it at all. But these are just radial parachutes. Here's drogue chutes. So we may have to rely a little less on drogue chutes. To that end, we're definitely bringing just the capsule back right now. So we're going to need a heat shield on here to help us burn off some speed. And maybe... do they have, like, aerodynamic grid fins in the game yet? Or is that still a mod thing? If they do, we don't have them unlocked. So we're going to need a decoupler, and we've got one of those, so that's perfect. And then we're going to need a little bit of fuel in here. And we have access to the Swivl fuel engine, which has been changed. I don't know how it's been changed. That thrust looks about the same. Specific impulse does as well. Okay. It does have an alternator on it. I'm not entirely sure how they've changed it, but I know that it has been changed. We'll probably discover it. For now, we're just going to run a T400, a T800. We'll run essentially equivalent to a fuel tank T1200. This is not, perhaps, efficient, but it'll have to do. And let's see, these basic fins, those are just lifting surfaces. Those are not control surfaces, so I don't think there's any point in bringing those. Now our main goal here is a suborbital trajectory. So, to that end, we're going to need to escape the atmosphere and come back at a shallow enough angle that our drogue chutes can be deployed. Which is a pretty shallow angle. We are going to call this... what do we want to call this? I think we should name these after, perhaps, jump-capable battle mechs? We'll call this the Grasshopper. What is the tonnage of this? 9.7 tons. This is slightly less weight than the Battletech Grasshopper, but that's okay. We will call this the Grasshopper 0X. Okay. Save. And actually, yeah, that's fine. I was going to put a dash there instead, but this is fine, actually. So we'll call this the Grasshopper 0X, or GH0X for short. The 0X indicates that this is version 0 experimental. Okay, let's see how this goes. Jeb, you might be about to be fed to the meat grinder of me figuring out how the new drogue chutes work. We'll see. So, the staging looks correct, I think. We're ready to give this a go. SAS is on. Jeb, you're ready to go? Yeah. Throttling up tends to help. Oh my. We'll go ahead and crew report here. Okay, the question is, where is the built-in apoapsis periapsis display? Is that in maneuver mode? Yes. Okay. So, yeah, that's maneuver mode there. I don't actually care about this. We'll stick in maneuver mode. There we go. So our apoapsis is about 12k. We're going to start our gravity turn at about 20k apoapsis, I think. Are we going to make it to suborbital? I don't know. We're moving pretty quick. We definitely want to change our inclination to be a little bit more shallow. Make that a lot more shallow. We're at 40k. We'll sit at 45 degrees for a little bit. We're flying high. That is fine. So we want, at this point, to be going directly for the horizon. Our apoapsis is dropping a bit. I don't want it to be doing that just yet. 60. Okay. We're holding here. We're going to need a little bit more thrust to keep us out of the atmosphere. I'm going to go to 75 kilometers in the apoapsis. There. We have 275 meters per second for a braking burn on the way back in. That's fine. Okay, well here we go. Jeb is off to space. At this apoapsis, we are going to want to flip retrograde, like the moment we get out of the atmosphere, or even when we get just thin enough. How are we doing for electric charge? We're doing fine. Yeah, this will work for suborbital. Our altitude is 60 kilometers. Also, yeah, those terrain shaders, they are looking a lot better. Although their shorelines, I feel like, could still use a little bit more definition. Like having the water shader get a little bit lighter as it approaches the shoreline would be a good move, I think. But here we are, just about out of the atmosphere. So let's get flipped on over. There we go. We are now officially in space. We have no air resistance. So we are at retrograde right now. And that is wonderful. Of course we can't EVA. We can't get more crew reports because we don't have an experimental storage module. There's a lot of things we don't have right now, but this flight will get us a lot of those things. Excellent. Yes, we will be coming back very soon. This is a very short suborbital hop. That is the extent that we are going. We are already basically at our apoapsis. And I'm just trying to maintain our position here in retrograde, because we are going to need to do a re-entry burn. Of course, if we burn exactly retrograde, we're going to be falling more straight down, right? So I think we actually want to be burning a little bit more like here. Maybe? Let's see, that would push us... Yeah, that'd be a little awkward, for sure. But that might be the way to go. Just do a retrograde burn about... Well, retrograde-ish, retrograde radial. Yeah, that might work. We'll find out. We're entering the atmosphere right now, so let's just burn that off. Okay. So that basically didn't move our drop-in point, but burned off some of our vertical speed. So we're going to go ahead and ditch our tank at this point, and we are going to lock to retrograde. And we're going to try to burn off some of this orbital speed. Now, I'm a bit unclear on where we actually need to be, speed-wise, on these drogue chutes now. I maybe should have read the tooltip, but we'll figure it out. Like I said, we might be sacrificing Jeb to the experimental gods, but, you know, he is an experimental test pilot. He signed up for this. And honestly, in my opinion, suborbital hops are some of the most dangerous that there are to be made, because you come in at an inherently steeper trajectory than you do in an orbital hop. We're going to be hitting the ground pretty soon. We're still speeding up. Technically, we're going to hit the water. I don't know. If Jeb ends up dying, that'll be an inauspicious start. But maybe that's for the best. That is kind of fitting with the theme of KSP. We're still speeding up, which I consider to be rather spooky. Maybe we should have continued to flatten the trajectory. That was probably a wrong move on my part. Flattening the trajectory would have been good. Could we have made it into orbit? Probably not. But even so, if Jeb manages to survive this, we'll be flattening the trajectory next time rather than truncating it. We are slowing down, which is good. We're coming down awful fast. Luckily, we do still have a decent amount of horizontal speed, which does increase the amount of air between us and the ground. We would be okay before the drogue chute nerf. Like, right now would be when the drogue chutes would be deployable previously. Okay, we're good. I really should have put this into a different stage. Luckily, it deployed it smartly, so we appear to be okay. In the future, we will definitely make those modifications. But Jeb is fine. So let's just warp towards the ground. SAS can be off at this point. It does not matter. Perfect. There go the drogue chutes deploying. It's a little bit wobbly, but we kind of don't care. Once the main chute deploys, that should, in theory, no longer be the case. Well, that definitely stabilized things. It'll take some time to go down to the surface, of course. We're going at 6 meters per second. We're 600 meters up. It would take 100 seconds. Of course, we are on 4x speed, so it'll take about 20 seconds to get there. I mean, all things considered, despite the fact that we identified several issues, that was a very successful flight. Pretty happy about that. I don't want to hit the ground with, or rather the water, with the physics warp on. Okay, let's recover that. Fantastic. So let's make a couple of modifications here. Obviously, we have quite a lot of science. And we're going to need to grab general rocketry. That gives us the Reliant, which I don't like using because it doesn't gimbal. It's fine for, like, asparagus stages or onion stages, but not so great as a core engine. This does give us thumpers and the T200 fuel tank, though. So I think we'll grab this. And that's just a lifting surface. Aerodynamic nose cones and radial decouplers. Yeah, we'll grab those. Fantastic. Okay, so the Grasshopper 0X did its job, but I do want to split the drogue chutes into a different stage. There we go. We're probably done with the Grasshopper 0X. I don't think we're going to have any additional Grasshopper 0X variants. So we're going to go with the Grasshopper 1X now. And we are going to replace these 12 T100s with 6 T200s. Now this is literally the exact same thing, except slightly cheaper. So that's the Grasshopper 1X so far. Now we do have access to the barometer and thermometer. So we're definitely going to want to have these on here. We'll put one here. We'll put one here. And then we'll put the Mystery Goo containment unit over here. Do we have access to a service module? Oh, we do. Okay. So we'll put that actually underneath here. There we go. We'll get that opened up. And we will put these items inside the service module. That is not the direction I would like it to go. Okay, those things don't like to go on the bottom of these new service modules? Oh, and I did not... What am I doing? Radial symmetry. There we go. So we'll put the barometer up here, I guess. Not in radial symmetry. Can we put this over here? Yes. Fantastic. So we'll just put this basically dead center. I mean, that's not exactly dead center. I want to use the move tool. Except that I want this to actually be the offset tool. Oh, it's actually not placing it. Yeah, it's not placing it on the bottom here. So we can only place things on the side and top? Is that what's happening here? If so, that's slightly awkward. I guess we'll put that there. It kind of doesn't matter. Okay, excellent. And then the other thing that I'd like to do is I'd like to make this a bit more of a heavy lift rocket and put a pair of thumpers on the sides. That is definitely much more heavy lift. We'll put an aerodynamic nose cone on those. Okay, we don't have struts. That's a problem. I don't think we can get them this flight either. Where do we get struts? General construction? Yeah. Okay, that's going to be quite a lot. Huh. Okay, well, I don't want to do any of those, so I think we will next orbit Kerbal. However, it's a little late in the episode to get started with that, so I'm going to go ahead and put a cut in here, and next episode will be the first test flight of the Grasshopper 1X. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and I will see you next time when we address this mass issue. See you all then.